I'm Steve Jensen, and this is my Wardrobe to Narnia. A project took me about 9 months to build, and where do I go from there? When I first started building, in my head I was thinking all brown. I got about 3 layers of brown in the bottom and realized I'm running out of brown in a hurry. So I made the decision, well, let's do some of these other colors. And then realized, yes, that's what wood looks like. So now there's spots where I actually intentionally do certain little paths of the brown to make it look like a vein or a knot in the wood.
Nice little accents of other colors in there.
Yeah, and so it's not always just random placement. Sometimes it's random, but sometimes I'm making a little thing out of it, whatever. Of course, as I say, it's, of course, all Lego, but that includes the clothing inside. Those are capes from the big buildable figures like Darth Vader. I also realized as I got about 3 inches up that I better not just keep stacking bricks or I'll never move this thing. So I designed it to be movable. I can take the top off, and then that reveals some pins that let the panels come off, and break it down to 8 or 10 big chunks and pack it up and move it.
Right. Very smart planning when you're going to convention.
Yes.
So talk a little bit more about the detailing and kind of, I see the inspiration picture you've got here. How did you translate that into the physical bricks?
Freehand, really. Just looking at that, I had gathered, buckets of brown pieces, knowing that I was going to make the engravings towards the end. So then I was just experimenting and trying different things. And I'll step over this way a little bit. Here I used a leaf piece because the top of the mountain, at least what I thought I was seeing in the pictures, was trees. And so I thought I'll just use a leaf piece to Let me say that again. I will use a leaf piece to make the trees on the top.
It's been a long weekend.
It has been. Another place I used a fun little one of the little vine pieces for the mane of the horse. On the other side here where there's a city, I used windows to represent a city on the hill. So just trying different things. The lion head here, I spent over 3 days fussing and fiddling, trying to work something out. I had 8 by 8 studs. That's all the space there was. Right. My first draft, a friend said, "Oh, that looks like a monkey." And somebody else later on, with other iterations, it was a bear. And it just wasn't coming together. I finally came up with a technique to get these grill pieces to be at different angles to be the main, and then it just popped.
Right, and I think you definitely captured it. So then if we move inside here, we'll let John show some more of the inside. What's some of the pieces we have in there and kind of the details?
Okay, well, I'll start with the lamppost. That's the signature piece on the inside. Again, when I first was picturing in my head, I was capturing all and saving all these clear, round, and angled pieces from Lego. And then when I started looking at pictures closer, I thought, no, this isn't right. And I ditched all the plastic and just went with Technic pieces to make that shape, those trapezoid shapes. They're elephant tails for the little swirls underneath. And the column, I actually scored a deal online for a Batman shuttle that was the only source of significant numbers of those pieces to make the columns. The trees, I had no idea how to do a pine tree. So I looked online and saw some ideas and took it one step further in that I added a tube, the Lego tubes inside those. The 1x4 brick, the 1x1 brick with the 4 studs around it. Right. Happens to have holes in all those studs, including the top one. And so and it's open on the bottom. So I just put tubes in, and that gives us strength going across so it doesn't break.
You get that big tree limb look going.
Yes, and if I put them together tight, then it's straight. And if I leave a little looseness, then I can do a little bit of bending, which gives that flow of the bend in the branches going across.
Yeah, and it's perfect. And you've even got, for like the sky on the right side there, is that even some Duplo in there?
There is Duplo. I use Duplo on both sides. In fact, when I first was trying it out, I only had columns, and it was still weak. When I put the top on, which is 25 pounds, it was still kind of wavery. So I put a whole wall in and decided I had enough blue and enough of the kind of a dark orange and browns that I can still, the part you can see looks like wardrobe transitioning into sky. The part you can't see because the door doesn't move is very Technicolor rainbow, but that gives the stability so that it holds that top, because this flat this flat type of building would never hold the weight.
Right, that makes sense. So then, as far as the inspiration for this, what caused you to want to build this at such a large scale? Were you a fan? You were watching the movie or the books and everything, and just thought this would be something cool to do in Lego?
It was actually one of the other shows a couple years ago. At the end of their show, said the next year's theme was going to be Hidden Worlds. And when they said that, in my mind, I just thought, well, somebody should build a wardrobe you can see into Narnia. And I wasn't thinking anything big. I wasn't even thinking me. But a couple of months later, I thought, why not me? Why don't I build it? And again, I wasn't thinking this big, but that's what I ended up with.
And I think it turned out great. And I know a lot of the public has been coming by and admiring it, so that's really great.
And the scale was also set because I knew I needed engravings. So I couldn't make it too small or I wouldn't have room to make the engravings on the various panels. And so here we are now with something that's about 50% scale.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for bringing it to the show and talking us through it. It's a wonderful build. Thank you.
Thank you.